It can start from making a bad investment or other regretful financial decisions, but sometimes it happens. You end up broke. But being broke does not have to be a permanent situation. Dan Rosenzweig is the host of the show Going From Broke. The program helps participants and viewers navigate the reality of their debt in order to become the CEO of their own lives. Here he is explaining the show and how it came into fruition.
The genesis of the show came from a discussion with executive producer and creator of the show, Ashton Kutcher. He knows that I run Chegg, which is a company that supports college kids in almost every aspect of their lives, particularly with academic support, and that we recognize that the student loan crisis is huge. It's 44 million Americans with over $1.7 trillion in debt, where 40% of the students never pay back their loans. And then we realize that that just leads to more debt, credit card debt, high interest rates, inability to get rentals, inability to ever buy a home or get a mortgage. And we wanted to create a show that was entertaining, interesting, but actually had useful everyday tips and tricks that help people get out of debt and become the CEO of their own life. What we acknowledge is debt is unfair sometimes. It was unexpected. People weren't told necessarily the whole story, or they didn't do the work to learn the whole story. But at the end of the day, debt catches up with you, and you have to be the CEO of your own life. You have to deal with it because it will not go away. So this season, season 3, expanded to go beyond just those with student debt, because we recognize that the average age of a college student in this country is actually 25. 26% of them already have children. And you carry this debt with you almost for the rest of your life, and it affects the rest of your life. So this year we have not only student debt, but people with student debt and credit card debt, people who lost their businesses due to the pandemic, people that have been carrying student debt and they're 40 and 50 years old. So we've expanded the age group and the kinds of debt that people are dealing with, because at the end of the day, what we want to do is get people in control of their financial future and become the CEO of their life and live a life of financial independence and not deal with the mental health issues, the poverty issues related to debt anymore. So we've expanded, and it's a combination of very helpful. It tugs at the heartstrings, but it's also very entertaining. Yeah, we're actually contemplating doing a catch-up from People 1 and Season 2. The answer is yes. We keep in touch with many of them. Many of them keep in touch with Tanya and myself directly, and we've remained involved in their lives because they're great people and they're doing the work. So the answer is yes. We have evidence that a year later and 2 years later, that people's lives are much better. They've either reduced their debt or they got out of their debt. One of the differences in this season is the impacts that we were able to make happen so quickly that you can actually see the impact during the course of the season. You can see the beginning, middle, and end of where it worked and where people are still struggling. Once you recognize that you're generating less income than you're spending, is the first time that you can do something about it. So acknowledge it, don't panic about it, don't be embarrassed about it, you are not alone. And then build a budget. Know exactly how much income you're generating, and everything you spend, break it down by what you have to spend. Credit card debt, student debt, rent, food, if you have a car payment, and then look at how much that is versus how much you bring in. And then you realize, do you need to generate more income? Do you eliminate costs, or do you or do you do both? And we have people on the show that have had to do both and have been really successful. So compound interest is probably the single most important thing you can learn. It can work for you or it can work against you. If you put money away and it earns interest, money makes money for you. And one of the episodes of the show this season, we show exactly how compound interest can work for you. It can also work against you. If you take out debt, student debt, car debt, credit card debt, and you only pay the bare minimum, that means you're actually never paying down your debt, you're only paying the interest, which means your debt never goes away. And so learn how money works, how interest works for you or against you. And if you do that and build a budget, your life will get a lot better, a lot faster.